Hey guys, so this video is for you lots who are transitioning to PT school. I know right around this time of the year, a lot of applicants receive their acceptance letters. And while you're happy and celebrating this victory, the majority of you also have questions, such as what's going to come within the next 3 or 4 months before I start school? Where am I going to live? How am I going to pay for all of this crap? And some of you actually might be concerned about, you know, whether or not you can actually keep your part-time or full-time job. Some of you are worrying about, the workload of PT school and whether or not you're gonna implement some new study habit. So I'm gonna try my best to cover all those topics. Bear with me because this might take a while. So congratulations to all of you who got accepted to PT school. And now without further ado, let's get to it. Get this off your checklist as soon as possible, guys. Go to your local clinic or your local hospital and get a copy of your immunization record. Make sure you have the latest Tdap shot. Make sure you have the latest flu shot. Make sure you have the latest physical exam. The school wants you to be CPR certified. So, and I believe most of them want BLS, Basic Life Support for Healthcare Providers. I got mine at the American Red Cross. You guys can go ahead and do that. The school's going to want a copy of all this, so make sure you have them ready. You're going to be working with patients, right? So they want to make sure that you're healthy. And the sooner you get all of this done, the less of a headache you'll have later on, trust me. Perhaps it's one of the most concerning thing about this process. So if you're transitioning to grad school in the same college or university, and you're under 23 years old, not much has changed really. If you live in a dorm or in an apartment, then you can just continue to do so. You already know your expenses, you're familiar with the process. The only thing that's changed really is you going to grad school. But if you come in from out of state, or going back to school after taking 1 or 2 years off working, then you might have more to consider. So if your school is located in a major city, then you obviously know that rent in that area is going to be super expensive. So what you want to do is find an apartment 1 or 2 towns over where rent is relatively cheaper and you don't have to worry about commuting because those towns are relatively closer to the big city. And you can bike to school, take public transportation, or you can drive if you have a car. If your school is far away from civilization, then I believe what those schools do is offer special housing for graduate students. And you can compare the expenses for that to the expenses if you were to live in the local area. And you can decide what's best for you after you make that comparison. Needless to say, though, you're going to have to do a lot of research in the city you're going to be living in for the next 3 years. And if all of this is overwhelming, then worry not, because your upperclassmen might make things easier for you. So you're likely going to be invited into a Facebook group with all the DPT students in the school, and whenever your upperclassmen need a roommate, they're going to post it in the group. As the first year come, third years are leaving, so there's always some spots available. So guys, do whatever it takes to reduce your expenses, because this doctorate program is super expensive, and try to save as much money as you can. For example, I'm 27 years old and I moved back with my parents to save money. Was it a hard adjustment? Yeah, but it was a necessary one. The majority of you don't have 100 grand lying around, so just like me, you're gonna rely on student loan to cover your expenses. And please do not take out the total amount in one go. If your school is 100 grand, don't take out 100 grand right away. No, what you want to do is find out what tuition is going to be for one semester and add that to your expenses for that semester. Whatever the total is, that's the amount you want to take out. And you repeat that every semester. It's very dangerous to have like 100 grand in your account because if you're not disciplined, you're going to overspend. And after you start the loan, it's not like the money is going to come right away. No, it might come the day you start school. It might come a week before. So that means you need to have a lot of money saved to cover your first month's expenses. We're talking security deposit for your apartment, moving costs, food. You need to be all set for the first 2 months when you start school. I mean, I don't know. The extent to which you can work really depends on how flexible your job is. I mean, if you work on a 9 to 5 basis and you wanna you know, do it part time during the weekend. Maybe it's feasible, but to give you perspective, I spend most of my day at school during the week, and if I'm not in school, I'm doing PT related stuff. Doing clinical rotation somewhere. So I don't know. It's very hard. It's very hard for me, at least. I spend my weekend reviewing the stuff that I learned during the week and then preparing for what's gonna be for next week. I mean, some people in my class made it work, but those people are not required to be, physically. They're not required to physically be at a location for a given amount of time. They work on an appointment basis. They personal trainers, they dancers, so they have that kind of flexibility, and it's a luxury that not everybody has. However, you do have the option to experiment. You can work the first 2 months of PT school and find out if working and going to school is manageable. If your grades are not suffering from it, then power to you. But the moment you notice that your grades are dropping, then you'll know what to do eventually. It's not a walk in the park. I mean, it's a doctorate program, and you can't cruise through the same way you did in undergrad by cramming information in your head 1 or 2 days before the exam. No, that's not even possible anymore. I mean, it's just way too much information to study. I mean, to give you perspective, I'm in school 5 days a week on average, and I'm hitting the books 6 days a week, reviewing information I learned, studying information for next class. It's a full time job, and that's why I said it's gonna be hard to work because that's all you do is go into class and study. You have to know your stuff, and they're gonna make sure you know your stuff. And there are tests every 2 weeks almost. There's a written exam and practical every month. There's a comprehensive exam and comprehensive practical at the end of every semester. So you'll be tested every step of the way. That's what you sign up for. You're gonna complain, you're gonna be frustrated, you're gonna laugh, but you will be growing. And that's all part of the process. Congratulations once again to all of you who made it. I didn't talk about health insurance because I already made a video about that. I'm going to put the link in the description below if you want to check it out. And that concludes my video. I don't know if I cover everything, but if I didn't, let me know in the comment section and I'll get back to you promptly. Peace.